what we are here for. And when I say here, I mean right here today and every Sabbath. The reason why we come together, we're supposed to keep the Sabbath, of course. That's God's fourth commandment to man, to remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. But what I'm really talking about is what we are set up as an organization for and what we are about, what our mission is. You know, people have organizations and they have mission statements and all of that. Well, we got the same thing. We got a mission statement. And everybody should know what the mission is. But our mission statement comes from the Bible. Jesus himself gave us the mission statement. And that's the sole purpose that we're doing all that we are doing. That is to fulfill that mission. And that mission is simply to preach the gospel. And that's something that always have to be clarified, because you have many preachers and pastors and reverends and call themselves doctors and fathers that say that's what they are doing, preaching the gospel. So we have to clarify what the gospel is that Jesus wanted his servants to preach, because you have some discrepancy in that area. And Jesus told you would have discrepancy because he told you there would be many false preachers. So that's what everybody should know, what the real mission is. Because it's easy with all the distractions that this world have for you. It's easy, even when you know the mission, to get sidetracked. That's why we try not to get into a lot of extracurricular activity, because we know how easy it is to get sidetracked from what the mission is. So we're going to take a look at that today. That's the title, Know the Mission, Preaching the Gospel. We're going to start off in Mark the 16th chapter. Mark 16. And this is when Jesus, after he had died and resurrected, he was getting ready to ascend back to heaven. And he reminded his disciples of the mission right here. Mark 16, and we're going to pick it up at verse 14. Okay, go ahead and read, brother.
Afterward, he appeared unto the 11 as they sat at meat, and upbraided them with their unbelief and hardness of heart.
Now, he upbraided them. That means he railed on them a little bit, because after he had died, even they started to lose a little hope and thinking, you know, what he was all about was over with. That show you something bad happened, you can lose faith in a minute, and the Lord is warning you of that. Because you're going to have some bad stuff happen on the road while you're trying to carry out God's mission. So that's why it said here, he appeared to the 11, because we know Judas was one of the 12. He committed suicide, spiritually and literally. He committed suicide, and eventually later on, after this point, they replaced him. But at this point, it was only 11. So it said he appeared unto the 11 as they was eating, and upbraided them with their unbelief and hardness of heart. Why? Because what?
Because they believed not them which had seen him after he was risen.
See, he said they didn't believe the people that had testified that had seen Jesus after he was risen. They was losing hope and losing sight of the mission. So he's going to rekindle the fire to remind them what their mission still is. Because he was getting ready to leave and go back to heaven. But still, he was leaving them to carry on the mission, and that mission has fallen down to us. But the thing you always got to be aware of, that it's a lot of people say they on the same mission, but they not. They on their own mission or their own agenda. There's many false prophets out here saying they doing exactly what Jesus said the mission is, but they really not. And he warned you about them. But if you want to be a true servant of God and really be about the mission, that's what you have to realize and stay focused on that. Go ahead and read verse 15.
And he said unto them, Go ye into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature.
See, that's what the mission is. That's what he told them, and show you it's a worldwide mission. It's not some local mission. That's what I understood I got from my teacher years ago. Because a lot of the old school Israelites, they was content with just having a few people that they can rule over and play big shot over. That's what they was content with. And even a lot of them in the old days, they was even talking about, even the first brother who informed me that we was Israel, he kind of had that same mentality. He was saying, you know, the mission is we need to get some land and work the land. We need to work the land and, you know, so when the troubles start, we can hide out in the mountains. That's what a whole lot of old school Israelites had, that same mentality. Some of them even bought land. Brother Bowie teacher even brought some land down south, and that's what the thinking was. But according to this, that's not the mission, right? While you buying some land trying to pick some strawberries, people dying for lack of the word.
Right.
Because you're going to die one way or another anyway. If the Lord don't save you from the troublous times, you ain't going to make it anyway. But in the meantime, the mission is simply what he's saying here. That's what the whole game is about. He said, go ye into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. See, so that's what we set up here for. And we're not content with just being in one little local place. That's why we got other places. Even some people kind of, when we start spreading out more, open up in Los Angeles, some people got upset because they, you know, they figured, you know, we lacking here. And, you know, so somebody actually told me, you need to stay here with your flock. Somebody told me that. But it's a whole lot more flock out there that need to hear the word. So the mission is not to try to build some big church so, you know, we can all, the ones that's working around here can live good and play big shot. The mission is to preach it to everybody. That's what he said here, right? Read it again, verse 15.
And he said unto them, go ye into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature.
See, that's what he said, in all the world. So it's for everybody in the world, isn't it?
That's right.
So this is an international mission, isn't it? It's not something just for Gary, Indiana, or Chicago, or anywhere. Go into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. Back up to Mark, the first chapter.